Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk at RSA. Terry Sweeney here with Dark Reading, and joining me now is Paul Reid, Global Head of Threat Intelligence with OpenText Cybersecurity. Paul, welcome to the Dark Reading News Desk.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you doing this today. We're talking about next generation threats, but before we go there, can you just give a quick overview of not so much OpenText, but OpenText Cybersecurity, which is a piece of OpenText for those who may be new to the company?
Sure. So OpenText Cybersecurity is part of the larger OpenText company. It's about a $6 billion a year in revenue company. And it has a background in information management. For about the past 25 years, they've focused on knowing your data, understanding your data, know where it is, know the importance of your data. And that gives us a really unique perspective on cybersecurity. It's really hard to defend and protect what you don't know and what you don't know what you have and where it is. So because of this historical background we have, it makes our products even more effective and meaningful for our customers and provides greater cyber resiliency for them.
Great stuff. So OpenText Cybersecurity has just recently released its 2024 Threat Perspective Report. Curious about some of the key findings. Can you share those with us?
So just like we've seen in past years, right, the spread of malware continues, right? That has not stopped. It's picked up its pace. We're seeing phishing emails more and more all the time. One of the things we're seeing obviously is that generative AI is really helping the attackers with the phishing campaigns. They make them more specific, more in tuned, more natural language to what you're expecting.
And they're able to automate it all.
They are, that's right. Because of that, we did see a large increase in the amount of phishing attacks coming through. I think the last number I saw was 7.7 billion emails quarantined last year from us. And we see over 800,000 new unknown files a day. So that's a large amount of stuff. The other trend we're seeing too is this movement from email, phishing to voice. So there's that crossover taking place where people are being encouraged when they get the phishing emails to call a phone number, right? So if I can have that human interaction, that ability to talk to someone, I can gain their trust and really try to get them to do the things I want them to do without them having to click a link.
I like a little social engineering with my phishing myself.
That's right. That's right. Side of it.
It's obviously really effective, though.
It has been, but we're doing a really good job identifying it with our product families and be able to protect our customers from it. The other one we see a lot too now is the embedding of QR codes, right? So being able to identify threatening and malicious QR codes in these emails is really important too. We see the threat actors trying to use any channel they can to compromise our customers.
So you don't just need to click, it's like you could scan, you could make a phone call.
That's right.
You're in the web,
Yeah, multi-channel.
Yikes. Was there any good news coming out of the report?
So I guess the good news is just how effective we've been at blocking a lot of those attacks for our customers, right? Leveraging our internal threat research and the ability of our products to support each other across the customer base, being able to use what we see in email or in our WebRoot product and our other products as well, and be able to bring that threat intelligence together to give a more complete holistic picture of what's taking place for our customers.
Not to pick on poor hapless end users who basically are just there to do their jobs, right? But is there any evidence to suggest that users are getting, dare I say, smarter or at least better trained with regard to the risks that they need to be more mindful of?
I think we as a company have been doing a great job in educating our customers and also our employees too about the cyber risks. We see a lot of companies implementing good cyber training plans, and really, as always, the weakest thing is always the human in it, right? So the more we can inform the human and make them more aware of their surroundings and what's taking place is really important. One of the things we've talked about a lot inside of our product families is our customers need to know themselves. So for example, I need to know what is out there on social media about me that can be used against me. We've seen attacks where someone will get an email claiming to be, someone who's in the 4th grade with them and go, hey, here's a great picture of our teacher, click here, right? So while we think we've posted innocuous information, and for the most part we have, threat actors will try to use whatever they can against you. And I think it's incumbent upon us now to understand what our social profiles is and how much information is out there about us and how it could be used against us.
So your report focused largely on medium and small businesses. What about larger enterprises? What's happening there?
So you're right. The report focused on the small to medium-sized businesses, but we see the same thing happening with our enterprise customers. Just the size and the veracity of the attacks are different. A lot of the methodologies are still the same, right? We see a lot of threat actors move downstream especially ransomware gangs and criminal gangs. They don't really discriminate. A dollar is a dollar, regardless where it comes from. But for enterprise customers, they're really seeing different types of attacks and more advanced attacks necessarily than the small, medium enterprises are, just because of who they are and just how big they are.
So you have some news coming out during the RSA show here, new innovations that help secure against next generation threats. Before we get into the innovations, just talk a little bit about what you mean by next generation threats. What does that include?
So what we're seeing with the next generation threats, especially in the enterprise level, is the attackers leveraging the entire attack surface for the customer. So what do I mean by that? We've all moved to the cloud, right? We've moved our workloads to the cloud. We're really dependent upon our cloud supply chain. So when we see those next generational threats, the attackers are just not going against us, but against our supply chain as well. If you think about all the hard work that the companies have done to better manage identities and credentials and gone to federated credential providers, we're seeing a lot of those next generational attacks directly against them. So if I can take and compromise, let's say, your federated ID, I don't have to go to all your other applications or all the other services you use and compromise them. I compromise one, I get everything. So we're really seeing a big focus from the threat actors going against those type of things. So the obvious ones are things like Enter ID and others like that companies are using to provide that federation and that control of their credentials for access to all the different pieces of information they have.
Thanks. That's sort of a helpful picture of the threat landscape for these next generation threats. Share, if you would, some of the innovations coming out of OpenText Cybersecurity that are going to address these things.
So looking at these next generational threats and how companies have really tried to address them today, right? So we all have excellent threat intelligence from a bunch of different providers, right? And the threat intelligence tells us, here's what the threat actors are doing, here's the type of tools, techniques, procedures they're doing, here are the industries they're focusing on, or here are the sectors they're focusing on. And that's a really good general overview of what's taking place. But we felt there was something missing. We were missing that adversarial signal threat intelligence, right? So if we could really focus on exactly what's happening to you, what might not happen, but what is happening, that's a lot more valuable. And really that's what our CyDNA product's about. We want to be able to take and protect you, create a covered space, as we call it, across your company, and look at the adversary signals coming into and out of that covered space. If we can understand what threats you're seeing, what threats are being addressed against you, it allows you to better focus your cyber resources and also protect yourself better. If you think about the need for companies to patch, right? Just think about how many patches every day, every week a company has to do. It's really hard sometimes to prioritize which ones are the most important ones to get done. When we look at some of the results we get from CyDNA, we're able to say these threat actors are actively targeting you. They're using these techniques that leverage these exploits. So now that company is able to take and prioritize what patching to do so that they can best protect against that threat. So it's not generalized, it's very specific to what's happening to you.
So the bad guys are clearly making greater and certainly nefarious use of AI. Can you give us any preview or hints around where OpenText Cybersecurity may go with its own AI implementations and how they may increase security for users, data, networks?
Yeah. So to do really good generative AI and LLMs, you really need to understand data. And again, that historical nature of OpenText with that background in information management, we understand the importance of that and how to best leverage those type of data stores to provide very good, meaningful results to our customers. So we have a whole group of products, which is our aviators, which are the generative AI part of OpenText. And we're going to see that come to cyber as well. So as we take and grow that, we're going to provide more natural language type of access to our results. We're really trying to take the results that our team generates from threat intelligence and be able to provide that in a really natural language way and have a conversational nature about it, right? As we're having here today, right? It's a lot easier to talk about cybersecurity when you can do it in a conversational way.
Paul, great stuff around next generation threats. I feel a familiar combination of anxiety and hope. Yeah. So thanks for joining us on the Dark Reading News Desk.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Paul Reid of OpenText Cybersecurity. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this news segment. We'll see you next time.